Hello, brothers and sisters. Raven here. Today, we are getting very close to the end of building Christian character. I doubt this is going to be the last one, but in case, let me just say this part I just looked at of the book, this section, seems to kind of summarize what this whole thing's been about. It shows you what his real goal in this is, what his real drive is, as we've talked about again and again. But here it kind of, it's not just about what his goal is, it's about making it reach his goal and making sure you're not gonna go against it. He calls this section sobriety slash foolishness. And within it, he goes topic by topic by topic by topic. He goes through sobriety, calm, deliberateness, carefulness, foolishness, speaking too much, interrupting, stillness, wildness, boldness in the flesh. If you didn't notice from what I listed here, all of this, every part of this, can sound good, can sound true, but the way it's approached, set within this book and everything that it's been through up until now, you can see this is all about one thing: keeping you quiet. If you have a problem with this, if you have a problem with anything in their teachings, you better stay silent. It's probably the most common comment I get on my videos, is people coming in and telling me I shouldn't talk about this, that it's wrong for me to come and rebuke publicly. So of course they come and rebuke publicly, telling me I shouldn't rebuke publicly. Hypocrisy is what this place is full of, 100%. It's just everywhere. And this part, this is where you can see how that concept comes from him, because he shuts them up the same way they want to shut me up. Throughout this book, there's one thing you see that is more of the facade of what this is about. He constantly talks about children, the way you raise children, how to help them grow, the way they need to act, etc., etc., etc. The problem is, what he keeps bringing up again and again that I've already told you about, he keeps mentioning how it's not just children, it's also any follower, anybody who's a student, etc. So that everybody below him has to take this same submission as a child. And here, at this point, is where he tries to make it so you're not even going to come and rebuke him if you see he's got an issue. There's another side of it. One thing that he keeps saying again and again is talking about, following God, obeying God. But within that, again and again, he also adds in how you do that. In case you forgot, let's go back. Let's look at a quote from page 20 again. At this point in the book, he said this: passivity also usually marks false humility and submission. Passivity dishonors God because it cuts off the provision of God's power. Cuts off the provision of God's power from those who depend on us for their own covering. The pride in the heart of such a tattered covering prevents him from seeing the essential gift of God to him through those in authority sent by God. So to know God, to follow God, etc., you must follow them, because they have the authority of being sent by God. Now, let's get into the part of this section of the book I really want to point out. It's the part at the end that is the shortest, possibly the shortest of the whole book, that is called boldness in the flesh. And it's only a few sentences. That's it. It says this: boldness in the flesh comes from a false confidence in the child's own abilities and powers. He isn't broken to God's will, walking in humble faith, Rather, he boldly asserts himself without fear of God, without love or wisdom. It's interesting he has to add in the flesh. You can't just say boldness. That's the title of this section. You have to add in the flesh. Why? The Bible often speaks of being bold for God, bold for the Lord. You need to speak out, speak up. He has to add in the flesh to make it so that the boldness he's talking about is a bad one. In other words, this is bad because it's bad. But he doesn't really explain what that is. He says it comes out of his self-confidence. Okay. That doesn't tell me what it is. That tells me where it came from. What is it? What is this boldness you're speaking of? But also, he isn't broken to God's will, walking in humble faith. Now consider this whole thing from what I already talked about. You've got this problem of child. He brings up the child again. But as he said multiple times, he makes the child you. He also speaks of God's will. However, he's already insisted to know God, hear from God, know his will, you've got to listen to the authorities God sent. So let's go through this and let's redefine these words according to what he's already said in the book. Boldness in the flesh comes from a false confidence in a follower's own abilities and powers. He isn't broken to the authority of our leadership, walking in humble faith. Rather, he boldly asserts himself without listening to us, without love or wisdom. Based on everything the book said, that's what this is saying. That's what this teaches. So this is telling you, anytime you go and say anything that questions, doubts, goes against, etc., etc., against what we teach, against our authority, that comes from a false confidence. You do that, you are too arrogant, and you're too proud. Except, of course, Blair Adams and the other leaders, they can never be anything but humble, period. It's just not possible. This whole book is about looking, appearing as though it is just trying to help you raise a child. About being a parent, the way the Bible teaches you should raise children, etc. But no. By what he's said in many points in this book, we know this isn't just about these kids. This is everybody who's following him. Everybody. It's why he had to say it was through those in authority sent by God, instead of just saying through parents. Because it's not about that. It's not what this book is for. This book is to make you think he's teaching you how to raise kids, and instead, he's writing this to make you his child, to make you his servant, his slave, etc. Building Christian character is about building Christian cages. That's what this is all about. Bringing in believers as much as possible, as many as possible, to zip their mouths shut, to keep them silent, and hopefully to keep people like me silent. With every page I read of this book, I can't stop thinking of Zach. I can't stop thinking of what he said in that video we looked at. I can't get it off my mind how he is putting himself under the teachings of Blair Adams this way, and at the same time realizing he was starting to go in that direction. He has been putting his family and others he's pulling in under his. And that's what this does. Blair Adams himself probably wanted them to just come follow Homestead heritage. And because this is God's will, and he's definitely a prophet of God, come and follow that. That's the point of this. That's what this is about. But what you might not consider is this isn't just going to have that effect. Following along what this says, going along with it, he's also making it so that a lot of people who come in are going to actually go and be pushed toward his position. What you have is you have this case where some people come in because they're just going to come in and simply be obedient. That's all they're doing. They're just coming to have some kind of protection, to have some kind of community where everything else kind of controls them, makes it easier for them, makes things simpler, and they just go with the flow, so they have less to worry about, less to figure out for themselves, etc. But then you got others who come into it because they don't like being under the ways of the world, what the world is, how it works. So they want to get out of it completely to not be under it. And they would take this and start seeing, yeah, you got those in authority, but you really follow what this is supposedly teaching? It's also about how you, parent, has authority over the child. So this isn't just going to point to the authority they need to be under, but the authority they have over others. And that's what they're going to probably be focused on, some of them. It's looking at that. Where's mine? Where's the authority I have? Who do I get it over? And can push them to start seeking more than what they have in authority. Because you go and you enter a community like this, that's all you've really got to pursue. Either you're just this obedient servant, slave that follows along, does nothing for yourself, and you have no self, because as they tell you, that's not a good thing. You need to be rid of yourself completely. But then you got others where the only thing they've got to pursue is authority. That's where my prayer is. I pray a lot of this teaching, a lot of this stuff is going to bring to that point where there's a clash of authority. Because God's the one in authority. God's the one who's above the rest of us, not these men. That authority needs to crumble. That's what this is all about, building. Not your Christian character, but the control they have over you. I'll see you guys next time. God bless.